All right, also joining us on commentary, we've got Mythical 9, who will be commentating for Mr. PUBG. We should be ready to go in just a moment.
All right, I got the chat popped out and the stream up, and we'll be ready to go. Mr. PUBG is a member of the NES speedrunning community, has been for a while, has competed in a couple Big 20 events, kind of a lot of Big 20 events actually, which is another thing we do here on this channel. I'm Mythical 9. I'm stepping in, and I'm filling in really on commentary. We will be winging it for the most part here today, but it's appropriate considering we are going to be playing as a dragon in this sort of it's kind of a port, but it's almost like a revamped port almost of an arcade shooter. This this dragon-based game, Dragon Spirit, subtitle something. The New Legend is the subtitle for this game. And it should be good. This is a run that Mr. PUBG's done before, I think, for Best of NES. It was the Gold Dragon route. You can see here on the title screen, blue is highlighted with that blue text. And Gold Dragon, quite a bit different, actually. Much easier. And it's kind of weird, actually. It has a sort of the you can choose blue and gold, but if you actually like die in the intro stage in blue, it will like let you choose gold. Or it was kind of an interesting dynamic difficulty thing that they went for. But yeah, blue is much harder, so this should be a different run. The speed run times are like 10 minutes apart, I think, for the records. 14 minutes apart, actually, almost twice as fast with Gold Dragon, so much more difficult run we're going to be seeing today. And it looks like there's a bit of an issue. So sit tight. I will say I'm on a somewhat unstable internet connection, so you might hear me go a little robotic, a little Mr. Destructoid, if that's okay with you guys. You can put the emote in the chat or whatever. But it should pass fairly quickly. It just might happen a couple times.
Oh, also my microphone was muted. So what I had said was that it looks like our runner is having a little bit of a technical hiccup and is restarting their stream. So it'll be just a moment, and then we should be able to get started.
That's my special muting on one but not the other, and having a weirdly one-sided conversation. Luckily, we caught that one quickly. Yeah, we'll get this stream back going. This game back captured.
I mean, it's not a
in
marathon
just a little
without
bit.
one hiccup, and we are 20 minutes ahead of schedule, so it's okay. We can chill out for a little bit, talk about that awesome music from The Lost World last run.
Yeah, when it was over, the first thing I thought was, man, I wish I could listen a little bit more to the music. So the any percent run at the end was a real treat.
Well, I don't know. Which did you prefer, the music from The Lost World or the 5 FPS from Ultima 5?
That's hard. That's a hard choice. There is no lesser evil there. They're both too great. Well, I mean, you could just mute the TV if you were playing Jurassic Park, but there's nothing you can do to get around actually playing Ultima 5. So I think that's the greater of the two in my eyes. But it's been a pretty good marathon. I missed the start of it. You know, I'm gonna be up till some ungodly hour today, so I needed to sleep at some point. I missed K2 kicking things off. I missed the Mexican Runner and the Mother Brain 86. And I think I tuned in right around Battletoads and Double Dragon, actually. So I can personally attest to everything on the schedule. Since then, being a pretty darn good watch, the Super C race is maybe a highlight for me so far. Definitely think of that. And Sweet was able to do some bonus games earlier. And some of them with a very short amount of practice time, so it was pretty impressive, all things considered.
Yeah, the zero practice bonus run is kind of a rite of passage for these marathons too. I've had a couple of them myself. A couple of marathons ago, I had to pull out a SNES game for another marathon that I hadn't run in 3 years because we needed like a 17-minute run, and I was the only person around that could just do something, and almost managed to PB. So apparently, the secret to speedrunning is don't run the game for 3 years.
Yeah, well, there's some merit to that. The brain, the way it works, it builds pathways. When you sleep and like when you're not actively thinking about a thing, your brain is still processing what it was doing before. Usually, it doesn't quite take 3 years.
So it looks like in chat, Mr. PUBG's OBS crash got upgraded to a blue screen. So we're gonna sit tight for a minute or two, but we'll have him back. He's not getting out of this that easily.
Absolutely, we do. We are a little bit, so this is just exactly what we need to get back on track.
Oh, absolutely. He's exactly as planned. What's the phrase? All according to Keikaku or whatever.
Yeah, Keikaku, Japanese for plan. Just sub it in anytime you say the word plan if you want to make people mad on the internet.
Absolutely. And yes, you did miss Ghostbusters 2. I did too, unfortunately. I used to run that game, and then a couple of people came in and just took it over after I did a little bit of work on it.
That was pretty good. That was Canonophone, a crowd favorite around here in the NES parts. I think he's coming back later with something in the marathon. Yeah, a whole bunch of stuff. Look out for Cobra Triangle, Palamedes, and Swordmaster.
Yeah, you've got Canonophone all over the place. Dragon Dark has something like a dozen runs in this marathon. It's actually kind of scary. He's got a huge block coming up later. And then immediately after our host shift, starting at about 4 a.m. Pacific, you have the Death Devil block, which just is an entire page on the schedule of Death Devil.
It's pretty impressive. Reminds me, is anyone around here old enough? Are you an OG enough speedrunner to remember watching classic games done quick before Summer Games Done Quick, before Awesome Games Done Quick, the very first speedrun marathon, progenitor of them all? Classic Games Done Quick was done out of Mike Uyama's basement after the internet at MagFest was deemed unsuitable.
Yeah, I watched VODs.
It was Andrew G and Frezzy Man actually who running like 10 games each. What were you saying?
Oh, I was saying I saw VODs of it. I think I was just about a year too late for that. We actually had the proper full-blown GDQs by the time I was on the scene.
I think Classic Games Done Quick raised $9,000. Yeah. What a number that was. I'm pretty sure at some point Mike Uyama came out and screamed out that they were over 9,000 because of course that played out in 2010, mind you, to be fair.
All right, it looks like Mr. PUBG is back. I'm just trying to guide him through getting back up and running here. So hopefully in a minute or two, we'll be ready to start Dragon Spirit. Let's
Take it
see.
away.
After the Wall of Death Devil, the 2 hour Death Devil marathon with about 8 or 10 runs, we have Apollo with King Kong 2. Was King Kong 2 was in the Famicom Big 20, wasn't it?
Hmm. It is a weirdly okay game for a. I don't know if it's a licensed property. Certainly, the character is part of a licensed franchise, but it's pretty a good game actually. So it will be good to see that one for sure.
Yeah, that one's all bosses, so it's not like the Big 20 category where people just kind of ran to the end. It's most of the game, so that's going to be fun to watch.
There's Panic Restaurant by Sidetracked, who is a runner I'm actually not too familiar with, so I'm excited to see them. But Panic Restaurant is one of those really rare, expensive games. I think it's a Taito game, and it's one of those ones that is really cute and fun to play, but you probably haven't heard of it. So um, definitely something I recommend sticking around for. It'll be a while. Maybe go away and come back. Maybe go to sleep and come back at 10 in the morning for Panic Restaurant. Nest Cardinality, I don't think is doing Dragon Warrior this year. He's only signed up for Bayou Billy of all things. So if you want to get your dose of Nest Cardinality, keep an eye out for Bayou Billy shortly after Panic Restaurant.
Yeah, Bayou Billy is actually a late addition. It's a bonus run we added in, just because we wanted, Nest Cardinality in the event. So it's a bit of a bonus run, late addition. No Dragon Warrior from him, unfortunately, but he's through the entire history of Best of Nest, he's been the overnight mainstay. So I guess he deserved the right to sleep one year.
His ability to do the Dragon Warrior full RNG manipulations while delivering uh solo commentary that is both informative and charismatic, and it doesn't drag on the way my sentence does. It's very succinct. uh is a just is very talented. He's a very talented man. So uh we will get at least a little bit of Nest Cardinality later on in the marathon. Great games. We got Metal Storm, we got TMNT, and then also TMNT Tournament Fighters. So the entire Mega Man series, Super Mario Bros. 1, 2, and 3, Castlevania 2. Then when Dragon Dark's block comes up and we steer away from the good games for a little bit. But and then Canonophone picks up the mantle. But we get back there. Becco is going to be doing all three Ninja Gaidens, followed by Sidetracked again, actually playing another charming, fun game not many people know about, Jackie Chan's Action Kung Fu. And there's some cool stuff later on. Dragon Dark does play good games, actually. Legacy of the Wizard, Crystallis, Kid Icarus, Final Fantasy 3, Battle of Olympus, and then our Zelda 1 and 2 finale all coming up on. It's going to be good.
Indeed. Jackie Chan's Action Kung Fu. I actually did that as a blind race. It's probably one of the best blind race games on the NES because so few people have heard of it, and it's just so accessible to do as a blind playthrough. Definitely recommend if you don't see the run and haven't figured the game out yet, get some friends together and do a blind race of it. And it was a ton of fun when I did it.
I had a very similar experience on a little show that used to happen called Speed Gaming League, where I had to speed run a short 3-4 minute section of the game, but you had an hour to practice, and yeah, the game felt amazing in your hands as soon as you pick up the controller. And in addition to just being fun to play, it was also a pretty good speed run as well. So on both fronts, a strong recommendation for a weird Jackie Chan tie-in game that is way better than it has any right to be.
Speaking of SGL, when's season 3?
Oh boy, it's not impossible that could happen, but it's definitely not on the radar. If you are looking for NES speedrun content, you're in the right place. Not just the best of NES marathon on this channel, twitch.tv/bestofness, there is also the Big 20 event where players will learn 20 games in the span of about a month. It's longer now, a little more generous on the practice time, but it's still not a lot of time to learn so many games. And then they speedrun all 20 back to back in a gigantic race, and it's a ton of fun. They've done 9 of those races so far. If they do another 20, you'll be close to 200 put into the Big 20. It gets a little weird because they reused Metroid a couple times, so it's not going to be if you tried to play all of them, but they're going through most of the roster that the NES has to offer. There's also Pass the Torch, where 2 teams of players will be speedrunning a series of games, just a big old relay race. That was pretty cool. And sometimes they also do Beat the Record, I think is the name for it, where everyone comes together and grinds really hard on doing world record attempts on a game that has a record that can be beaten. Not like a totally impossible one. You know, everyone picks one they want to play and is a good target, and they not only beat the record, but see how low they can push.
All right, I'm gonna kick us back to setup right quick and see if I can resurrect the stream. Just a moment. We'll still be able to talk, of course.
In the meantime, Mr. PUBG, this Dragon Spear, has like a for kind of the weirder, lesser known game speedrun profile here on speedrun.com. Lists Yo Noid, Fester's Quest, Widget, Rambo, Spirit, Stride, The Goonies, Shining Soul on the GBA actually, Town and Country Surf Designs, The Goonies, Chojin Sentai Jetman, which is like a Power Rangers sort of game that has boss fights that play kind of like a fighting game, Adventures of Tom Sawyer, Batman Return of the Joker, and Blaster Master, which is actually kind of classic.
All right, the good news is I got confirmation that Mr. PUBG is indeed alive. He is, should be starting up momentarily. Apparently what had happened was, first of all, OBS crashed when he went live. And then when he tried to fix that, his laptop blue screened. And then when he rebooted from that, you know, Windows Update hell probably got him.
Oh boy. Boy, oh boy.
So just, you know, we were 22 minutes ahead. At this point, it looks like we're going to be right on schedule. So, you know, like I said, all according to plan, all perfect. Couldn't have worked out better.
The worst part was like 5 minutes. 5 minutes before his stream was up, everything was good, we were ready to go, and then it was just right as we were about to start. Well, better before we start than during, I suppose.
Absolutely. It would have been pretty terrible to just disrupt the run with this. Fortunately, it was right when we were starting instead of during the run. Probably more fortunately would have been after the run, but I'll take what I can get. Small victories. Okay, I see stream from Mr. PUBG. I'm going to check in with him, make sure that we are ready to go and his laptop is going to, you know, make it, and then we'll cut back over to the main layout and we'll get going. Just a moment. right, Mythical, did you want to repeat any of your intro for Mr. PUBG before we send him off?
I think we're pretty good. The intro was so long I don't even remember saying. But I can say the game is an arcade port of, or an NES port of an arcade shooter, basically. Just your classic top-down shooter. I'm seeing a thumbs up from Mr. PUBG, so I'm going to let him know that we're ready when you are.
All right, let me just, first of all, apologize for the tech issues. Let me cut this live. We are ready to go. We are exactly on schedule, so let's head it off.
As a reminder, I'm going to be commentating, but I'm filling in. My name's Mythical9, and my internet will do its best to keep my connection. I'll probably go a little robotic at times, but we'll all deal with it. We got the countdown here. 3, 2, 1, go. And he's off. Now the countdown is actually me reading off of not reading, but looking at a webcam, and it looked like we had a bit of a false start, actually. I think while he was doing the countdown with one hand, he missed something he had to do with his other hand. But the reason we're seeing this webcam is Mr. PUBG is deaf, actually. So he still speedruns, still competes, despite the extra challenges that offers. So seeing a bit of hesitation or something from the webcam. But anyway, this is the intro stage. We got some boss fights here. Always a big focus whenever speedrunning. You shoot them. You might think, why speedrun a shoot 'em up? That seems pretty weird, but there is actually a fair amount of optimization to be done when speedrunning a game like this. So you've got, of course, the boss fights, but also things like lag management can actually be a huge role. One of my favorite demonstrations of this was a Toad 22484 and Rot Dog speedran one of the Gradius games, and we got the start done with here. 2, 1, and we're going. I think that was the intro stage to make sure that we're worthy of playing on Blue Dragon, and our dragon is indeed blue. That is the category we'll be going with. But Rot Dog played with speedrun strats, and Toad played with your typical 1 credit clear, really safe strats. There was like a 10-minute difference at the end of the runs. So speedrunning a shmup is very different from playing for score or survival or anything like that. And it can be a really interesting thing once you take a look at it. So I'm not sure if enemies are going to be operating on phases that need to be eliminated as soon as possible, but certainly boss fights are going to be something to look out for. And killing enemies quickly will keep those sprites off the screen, which I'm sure can eventually cause lag. These shooters tend to have a lot of bullets and stuff on screen. Bullets have sprites. Sprites take up memory, and memory starts to cause lag after a while. So always a high. Again, this is a Blue Dragon run. We saw Gold Dragon from Mr. PUBG in some other speedrun events. It might have been last year at Best of NES, actually. But Blue Dragon's a much different run. It's about twice as long, comparing the world records. Gold Dragon is faster and stronger and has auto fire, and it really is quite different. So we're going to be seeing the Blue Dragon doing its best here. And in boss fights, you're particularly going to be looking out for, there's like a red orb power-up that you can kind of charge up and collect, and that is going to actually enable some auto fire for a little bit. So that will be kind of the goal during these boss fights. It's nice to get some good music going too after Jurassic Park.
I don't know what you're talking about. Jurassic Park was perfect.
I mean, let's just say sometimes there's advantages to being deaf. But honestly, there's a fair number of real disadvantages. We saw Yogi was playing Ultima using some audio cues. It's actually something that he's pretty well, and that's something you can't use when you can't hear. So in addition to even if your audio cues aren't explicit, the game audio is always kind of giving you feedback that you're internalizing to some degree. Hearing when your shot fires and like a when it connects with something. So it definitely can be a challenge to play without it. So just one thing that needs to be overcome. First stage is going pretty well. Don't think we've taken a hit so far. We're going to go ahead and collect that heart anyway. Mashing away at whatever this sea creature was. Obliterated before it had much of a chance to do anything. Nice job there. Pretty sure I'm seeing a smile on Mr. PUBG's face. His webcam's a little small, tucked away in the corner, but I think Area 1 went pretty good. Got our upgrade, got our triple heads going. You can see it's the kind of shmup that has the sort of attacking in the air and on the ground. I don't know if there's a term for those kinds of shooters when you've got like two different shots for two different kinds of enemies. I don't know, I feel like Dragon Spirit would kick the crap out of Spyro, honestly. 3 heads. That's hard to beat. Plus, this guy can fly all he... Spyro has to, like... Kind of... Unless... I haven't played a lot of Spyro. Not big into the PlayStation. My heart lies more with the NES, definitely. I'm in the right place. Taking a hit there, and he's not happy about it. It is kind of fun to see a player's reactions, actually, on the webcam. It's maybe something maybe more marathons should consider, having player webcams up. But you really are quite fragile in this game. It's not one of those one-hit kills, but that health bar is not very big. So taking that hit can be pretty costly. We'll see if he's able to stick it out. We'll see if the bitrate is able to hold on with this this red lava waterfall type effect. Moving on to the second boss. He's only got 2 heads here, so had to mash like crazy. Shaking his head, not quite happy. Looked good to me, to be honest, but I think it was the that was cute. Hey. All right, bye. We're off to the jungle. But I think that was, that boss was kind of supposed to die earlier, but he only had the 2 heads, so I think he wasn't really shaking his head at the execution of the boss fight. I think he was just kind of realizing how much time he had lost when he lost that other head. The Wikipedia article, which is the kind of high-quality commentary you can expect when when I fill in last minute, but the Wikipedia article does mention that the plot is you're trying to save several there was like a whole cavalcade of mystic creatures. Several magical girls, fairies, and female elemental deities. So basically this game's anime. Game's anime AF. The music has switched to something a fair bit more upbeat and chipper, considering that we're in this very bleak almost like rib cage type thing. I think those are probably trees and not bone, but just burning right through these vines. Moths to the flame. Up at the top of the screen, knows exactly where to be in order to dispose of them without getting hit. It's always nice to find little safe spots like getting really close to this ice cream cone on the left. He was really hungry, but apparently he only knows how to breathe fire and not eat. Hopefully he'll be able to figure that out soon. 2 more ice cream cones biting the dust. I think maybe it's like got some caramel on there. I'm getting kind of hungry to be. Looking good on the health. Seeing no signs of distress in the webcam. Dragon's dancing a little bit at the bottom of the screen. Just a quick dance break. Level 4 has... wait, 3 has been fairly tame so far. And again, it's very easy for skilled players to make games like this, in particular these kinds of shooters, look a lot easier than they really are when you play them. He does take 2 hits there, loses both heads, down to 1, playing it pretty safe here at the bottom. It does seem like dealing with the sides is probably more difficult, so getting the finish here, able to weave just in between the explosions, whatever these are, the pollen. 4 more weak spots going back here. Not able to overpower them with the triple heads after those 2 early hits means we've got to see some very careful dodging. Oh, goes right, left, and does get hit before he was unable to take out that last little bit. Head and hands. Not too happy about that. We'll see what kind of checkpointing we have. He's up to 2 heads. I'm pretty sure that's 3. Nope, that was something else. Red orb should be increasing power as well. So he's not going to start this boss fight with 3. Your hitbox, or your sprite rather, is quite big. So I'm guessing that your hitbox is not as big as your sprite, but it's pretty unclear how big it really is. So it's making me pretty nervous with the way PUBG is dodging and weaving here. Start on the second try has gone much better. And I see the... Whoa, dodging very to the right to find the opening there, but he does get through. Exposing the weak point. Does take a hit, so he's got only the single fire left to finish this off. The boss is on the ground. He's having to shoot down at the boss. He can shoot up to shoot some of the pollen or whatever it is that's coming out, but then you're losing damage not attacking the boss. So he was sticking to a pretty aggressive strategy. All told, has beaten the 3rd boss, has freed yet another anime magic creature with wings. And we're moving on to 4. I think the text said desert, but I definitely did blank on it, and I'm mostly going off of the bright sand and scorpions.
Shockingly, I believe it said graveyard. This doesn't look like a graveyard.
I guess, well, let's not turn it into one. Let's come out alive. Let's free another forest creature. Not a forest creature. Definitely not a forest. And apparently not a graveyard. But also not a desert. Who knows what kind of creature it will be. We're just going to have to wait and see. Another jammin' track, though. This game is filled with just great music. Screen filling up with a lot of projectiles here. After missing a couple shots, a couple enemies get free, start moving around, start shooting, filling the screen with sprites, and you can actually see the lag start to build up a little bit. It would be quite interesting to watch a run back with like an emulator, a lag counter going that totals up all the lag frames. It might be a pretty insightful tool for learning to speedrun this game, actually. You might lose a couple seconds in a stage and be like, where'd it come from? And then you look and oh, gee, 180 frames of lag, more than this run or that run. Pretty sure we're setting up for the fourth boss here. We've got our 3 heads, pretty good on health. We've got a skeletal dragon thing that just bursts apart, but the raw damage going right in for the weak point at the center, taking it out like it was nothing. Who do we free here? Are we gonna get like a... Oh, it's just like a shadow. Now, I was wondering how that gross skull exploding dragon thing was gonna turn into a pretty little waifu character, but they managed to make it work with just the gray silhouette. Kind of like the opening closing that's going on the sides of the screen.
Is this Broken Glass World?
Yeah, I don't know what it's supposed to be. It's pretty trippy, honestly. Because it's very neat. You know, there's no... it's just solid color all the way through, so it seems a little man-made or unnatural. But I'm liking it. I like the effect. Yeah, like a cracker with some cheese on top, on the sides there. Like maybe some melted cheese that's a little browned on top. Maybe a little crunchy. Once again, likening enemies in this game to food. We've got a new power-up. Little baby dragons on the side, calling to mind the options from Gradius. And as quick as it came, it's gone again. I wonder if that is a power-up he's been avoiding the whole run because it creates a bunch of sprites that he doesn't want to lag the game with. Or did he just another upgrade? Because he's only got 2 heads, but they're both shooting twice now. And I don't know if this is on his end or mine, but I do seem to have... I do see a paused stream here. But when I load it back, it seems okay. So hopefully that was just me. Coming out on the other end of our cheese and crackers. And it looks like we're going to be doing a spider boss. Spiders, typically pretty hard bosses in video games, gotta say. It's just kind of a rule of thumb. Weaving in and out is taking a couple hits here, but does manage to finish off the boss just barely. Oh, we got another just shadow character. We're off into the snow world. Thankfully, there's not going to be any ice physics up in the sky. What is that? Is that a seal? Is that just a helpful little seal down there that he's just bombing from above? I mean, I guess it is shooting at him. I guess seals can be evil. As much as I don't like to think about it. Alright, upgraded firepower. Gonna help chew through some of this ice. 3 heads now. He's pretty low on life. You can see that meter in the bottom left. Unless it really is just the number of heads you have, and the meter is something else that is related. But the meter goes down when he gets hit, so I know that much. Upgraded to this sort of green form here. Not gonna be able to take out that seal, but as the stage starts to pick up, that seal quickly is scrolled off screen. It's getting pretty fast. It's not quite your Battletoads Turbo Tunnel, but there does seem to be a fair amount of precision required here. Alright, into the boss fight. And out of the boss fight. Nice job. That's what bosses can look like when you come in with all those power-ups.
All right, I'm back from the land of runner setup. What did I miss besides banging music?
We got you missed killer seals actually. That were pretty cute, but were blown up mercilessly. And then you saw a boss totally get obliterated, and now we're underwater. And I'm pretty sure we just saw a intentional death, and I'm not sure exactly what the reasoning was, but that's I'm absolutely certain that is what happened. Up to 3 heads now. Got an undetonated mine, or 2, or 3. Or maybe that's not what that is, because he just shot it to pieces and it didn't blow up, so... Some kind of sea creature's home, apparently. Not anymore. Here we can get a look at what he was actually fighting at the time. I'm guessing these guys aren't going to generate any more lag, so... we are going to leave them alone. Sitting on a lot of upgrades, coming up on what I think is going to be the boss pretty soon. I like this guy just popping out of his hole to say hello. Oh, but it's pretty sad when he gets shot, when he pops out, and he's just like, oh. Seems like they're all okay, though. And here we go. We got another boss. We're sitting on a lot of upgrades, so I don't think this is going to last very long, but I was not quite able to finish it off, so he ducked back to play it safe. And then when that boss died, immediately after he went back in, he realized how close he was to beating it and gave a little bit of a head shake there. But overall, a solid run. Moving on to the surprisingly much louder level that is the Dark Quarters. And it looks like the music is... oh, it was just calming down for a little bit there during some fade out. Got a a lights on, lights off kind of situation here. Generally pretty hard to deal with. Generally gets easier when you're speedrunning than casual because you can just memorize whatever you need to memorize. But playing without those visual cues, that hurts you, even in a speedrun, even when you know where everything should be. It definitely is harder to position yourself where you need to be when you've got less information to figure out where you need to be. Holding out at the bottom of the screen and just kind of shooting. I'm guessing it seems pretty random where these guys are spawning, so I feel like he is not able to memorize here and is just sweeping back and forth and trying to shoot them in the dark. Pretty tough situation. Has managed to hold on to all 3 heads here. And he's having a bit of trouble dealing with some of these spiders encroaching on his personal space. But he doesn't get hit. That's the important part. I guess this is a boss. I don't know, it looks like a doorway or something. Maybe that's a creature just wedged in between 2 walls, and we're only seeing a very small portion of it. Again, not sure if it's on my end or his, but regardless of the source of the technical difficulties, I am a little sorry that I wasn't able to see too much of what was going on in that boss fight. Anyway, we're on level 9. We're shooting bats and scorpions. I feel like we're pretty far into the run when you start seeing the revisiting enemies from older levels. What is the marathon? It is a marathon of world record holders playing games that they speedrun on the Nintendo Entertainment System. We've been going for almost 24 hours, I think, and we'll be going for another 36 or so more. You can type !schedule to get a link to the schedule and check out the runs that you may have missed, where there will be VODs or the runs that will be coming up over this weekend. It should be a treat. This is the 3rd, 4th time. Maybe more. I feel like 2015 might have been the first, so I feel like this is the 4th year that Best of NES has done this marathon. It was one of the earlier online marathons to get established and get going. And it's still holding strong. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. Hope you enjoy it. Mr. PUBG is down to 2 heads, I'm pretty sure. No. Yeah, this is the 4th stage, actually. He's upgraded past 3. Yeah, there are a couple console-based marathons, but I'm pretty sure Best of NES was the first. It was a concept that a lot of people latched onto. A lot of communities saw a good way to, taking a hit, dropping down to just 1 head. And I can see the head tilt and the look of frustration from Mr. PUBG. I can only imagine that he's not going to have much time to build up those power-ups again. So the boss fight that I think we're about to roll into, no, it's just a screen transition, but it's coming soon, I'm sure, and he's not going to have much time to build up those power-ups. Even just getting through these bricks is proving to be a bit of a challenge. We're at least up to 2 heads now. well, relaxed is definitely where the commentary is for this run. Again, I'm just filling in on commentary for Mr. PUBG, who is running this game, and is doing a pretty good job. Only a couple mistakes so far. Pretty much just that one death in level 2. A couple of boss fights that I'm sure that he would be able to point out everything that went wrong, but you know, when you don't die in a game like this, that is a pretty big way to save time in a sort of marathon setting like this. A death will set you back a fair ways. It's probably going to take away a whole bunch of your power-ups and everything. Being able to clutch out a boss fight after you get hit and you lose all your power-ups is really important for keeping a good time going. Getting nice and close and mashing down these orcs, these moblin-looking dudes. Pretty much all of them were no problem. We're powered back up to 3 heads. I'm not sure what kind of power level Mr. PUBG is, you know, hoping or relying on having for the boss fights. It seems like there's at least 2 stages after this. But as the music cuts out, I'm pretty sure we are not going to have those. Oh, this music. Oh, the jams. All right, 3 heads, pretty good at taking out these first 3 faces. I'm still seeing some concentration. Mr. PUBG's face, so I'm getting the sense that it's not over. Something pretty dramatic is happening. And we're getting to just a straight up throne room here. Shooting at some kind of wizard. It's gone. After all that build up. Alright, what are we really dealing with here? Here we go. Oh, he's got the jazz hands. Look out. Oh, projectiles bouncing off the sides of the screen. And it looks like they're blocking shots, too. Takes a hit, down to 2 heads. Not happy about it. We'll see if he can clutch it out. The pattern of the bouncing orbs, as well as the flame shot that comes out, these are all taking up a lot of the screen. But he does get it, and I see a finger motion that I think is time. And we see a smile. Look at this. Riding on the head of the dragon. With this Japanese plot we can't read. But pretty sure I'm seeing hands off the controller. GG to Mr. PUBG after some technical issues. It was a little unclear if things were going to happen at the end. They have. Very happy to see that. I can't even see the final time because I was closing anything having to do with the internet to try to improve my connection. But we got there. So thank you so much, Mr. PUBG. Again, Mr. PUBG is a deaf speedrunner, and he's proven that he's not going to let that hold him back. Links in the chat for that stream. If you want to check it out, has been a regular in the NES speedrunning community for a while, and we'd be glad to have him. And he seems happy with his run so far, and I'm sure he'll be in chat as well. So if you want to send him a message or whatever, then you know where to find him. I've been Mythical9. I've been your very much placeholder commentator for this run, and it was my pleasure. We've got a lot more Best of NES Marathon coming up, so stay tuned because next up it's going to be Sparkover playing Fisher-Price Firehouse Rescue. So it's probably not the banger, the classic that you were that you were maybe hoping for if you were just tuning into the marathon. But there's a lot of fun to be found in these really weird games we haven't heard of too. So I highly recommend you stick around, check it out, stay for the rest of the marathon. It's going to be a blast, and I hope to see you there.